Hey everyone, Luke here. So I wanted to go ahead and do my top 10 list with the honorable mention. And before I start, I just want to say that there is a rule to this list that each character is from a specific story, except with one exception that I'll get to later. So starting off with the honorable mention at number 11, we have Zane Harno, Alex Xavier, and Chris Anderson at tier 9 being above average. There's not much said about these stories. It's just basically classic slice of life anime style stories. They're very smart, but there's nothing much about them. And with that out of the way, let's start with the top 10. Number 10, Connor Carson. A story about a super soldier turned secret agent that was betrayed on a mission and left for dead, who wakes up 10 years later with memory loss, who tries to slowly regain his memory through forming his own family. And so, a, a few twists with this is that the person that shot him in the head on this mission, who was his partner, also happened to be the villain of the story, is his twin brother. It's dark. Also, the woman he ends up marrying in the 10-year time skip happens to be the same woman he was already married to in the pre-time skip, and the daughter he adopts happens to be a clone of their original daughter that died in the pre-time skip. So yeah, it's pretty dark and tragic. Whew. That's pretty dark. So number 9, Valor. Not much said about him. It's my own version of a Danny Phantom story, except the difference is that Valor got his powers differently. He unlike Danny Phantom, who got his powers through an accident with a ghost portal, Valor just straight up dies and comes back as a ghost who chose to use his powers to protect the living world. That's much about him. I'm sorry if I feel like I'm just speeding through this. I shouldn't be, really. Number 8, Alon Draken. It's a story about a 17-year-old high schooler who was doing a research paper on the prophecy involving King Arthur. And at this point of time, King Art, after reading a scroll he found on a shelf in his bedroom, he gets isekai'd to a fantasy world, which happens to be Camelot, because it's revealed that after King Arthur's death, Camelot itself separated from the real world and became its own fantasy realm. And so classic anime adventure story. Alon Draken forms his own party of heroes, and he goes on a long journey back to the castle within the main area of Camelot to regain his throne. Not much said about that. Now, number 7 is a shared spot. Joseph Garrison and Pokemon Trainer Luke, both at tier 5. Oh, I probably should explain that. Both Connor Carson was tier 7, peak human. Both Valor and Alon Draken were tier 6, cosmic mortal. Joseph Garrison and Pokemon Trainer Luke are tier 5, myths and legends. So Joseph Garrison, it's a pirate story where Joseph Garrison well, Joseph Garrison, he goes through a few tragedies, becomes a pirate captain, and forms his own pirate crew and goes on a pirate journey. It's that straightforward, really. Pokemon Trainer Luke also tier 5, and that's because of his partner Pokemon, which is a dragon. So, yeah. So, in that story, 16-year-old Luke, who happens to be a variant of another character, this it basically goes on a classic Pokemon journey. It's the gym battles, rivals, all of that, really, defeating the champion, even even having a final battle with Pokemon Trainer Red, which is pretty epic if you ask me. But while I didn't really explain much about these first few, I want to go a little more in depth of number 6, tier 4, Badger, Connor Theseus, born as a born in a very powerful Viking tribe. So just that alone makes him pretty powerful. But as a child, he was born cursed by dark magic. And because of this, he was hated and despised by his village until the point that they couldn't handle him being in the village and tried to kill him. They even killed the priest there by defending him, believing that Badger, Connor Theseus, was a demon. And it's revealed later it's because what happens was he is technically indirectly cursed by Lucifer. So what happens is that Lucifer cursed Dracula, Dracula cursed Sabrina, who becomes the Hive Queen. The Hive Queen creates a cult of witches, and the witches cursed Badger. But yeah, Badger has one of the biggest tragedies. Always living in a world, where everyone fears and despises him, constantly putting himself through torment and tragedy, and forcing himself to fight through thousands of years worth of wars and battles, kind of a way for him to try getting that all that anger, all of that hatred, all of that all of his emotions, to like just shut them off. It's kind of a way of a distraction, but no matter how much he fights, he can't get rid of those voices in his head. It's pretty dark and sad, losing everyone he cares about around him. The only people who's ever actually shown kindness to him, he has seen either be killed or taken and never seen again. But the reason why Badger is put in tier 4 and not tier 6 is because Badger's whole thing is that his dark power, his cursed dark power, gives him immortality, and the longer he lives, the stronger he becomes. And by the time of the main story involving the number 1 character on this list, he has grown so powerful that he actually rivaled early Elatros, even surpassing him at one point. So Badger is pretty powerful and pretty tragic. But before I move on to number 5, which is another shared spot, I also want to mention the reason why is that Badger adapts and evolves. And one of his strongest feats is him basically conquering Purgatory. Yeah, pretty overpowered. So anyway, oh, and before I move on, I want to give a shout out to my brother, who actually came up with the character and gave me the backstory. He just gave me the rights to write him in my story. So fun. Anyway, so number 5, Lightning the Falcon and Luke Cosmos, tier 3. Tier 3 being conceptual beings. So, Lightning the Falcon, he's basically an inferior version of. Well, both him and Luke Cosmos are basically weaker versions of Elatros. And I'll explain why that is when I start talking about Elatros. Lightning, it's a story of a he is a Sonic styled falcon who grew up at being hated by his village for being a coward, and he doesn't deny it. Then he gets teleported into the world of the Sonic universe, the Prime Sonic universe, right in the middle of the events of Sonic Forces during the war in Infinite, and Sonic was already captured, and and it's like he came face to face with Infinite, and it scared him, and he had the gun in his hand, but he couldn't pull the trigger. That showed how scared he was of Infinite and literally everything about him, everything around him. But then, sorry. But then Lightning decides to join the Resistance and fight against Infinite. And the further into the story, his confidence grows, but his fear is replaced with anger and hatred to the point that he just wants Infinite dead. And by that point, Sonic is like, you know what, dude? I don't think you should be a part of this team if you're going to be in that kind of mindset. And so just leave them. And Lightning the Falcon goes through his own character arc. Well, not character arc yet. His own depression arc where he questions himself. And then he senses that Infinite and Dr. Eggman arrived back in Metropolis, so he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna take them out on my own. And then he gets stuck in null space, just like in Sonic Forces, except Sonic's not there. But this is probably one of my favorite feats of power that Lightning the Falcon does. So what he does is that he meditates, gathering as much energy and power from Null Void as possible, even though it's supposed to be a dimension of complete nothingness. But he finds a way to draw energy and power from it. And then he goes full Thor Ragnarok from the MCU with yellow lightning just shooting off his body, and the shooting in all directions, piercing and breaking through the walls of this dimension. And then he starts running. And he runs so fast that he basically breaks light speed to the point of basically just the fact of him moving shook the entire dimension that he was in. So it's basically the same kind of infinity feat that Goku has in Dragon Ball, where it's like his power was so, what's a way to describe it, so strong, so I don't know how I'm losing the words here. Basically his power was so strong that the void itself couldn't handle him, so he kept moving so fast. And just like in the Flash series, he ran so fast so many times in so many laps that his power opened up a portal, but the portal was blocked by a barrier. So what he does is that he then, it's like halfway through the running, he just forgets running and just starts flying, which he's a faster flyer than runner, honestly. And then but after flying a few laps, he zooms towards it, landing a powerful lightning-infused strike, shattering the barrier and flying through the portal, escaping Null Void by himself. Sonic's not even there. Now, keep in mind, I wrote this story after playing Sonic Forces and creating this character in Sonic Forces. So I'm like, why don't I write my own Sonic AU story where this character actually existed? as a Sonic character from an alternate universe. But yeah, then he comes back to fight, and then he comes back during the final war, confronts Infinite. Infinite traps him in an illusion where he where Lightning reverts back to his younger self and starts doubting himself again. And that is when we meet Lightning's big brother Malcolm, who died. And Malcolm keeps telling him, it's like Lightning keeps saying, "I'm sorry, it's my fault," and Malcolm's like, "Look, what happened wasn't your fault." And so what happened was somehow Lightning got into a situation that almost got himself killed, but Malcolm stepped in to save Lightning, sacrificing his own life to do so, and that trauma basically shattered Lightning, which is why he became such a coward, and what caused the village to hate him so much is because of that one tragedy. But after talking with his big brother, he realized he needed to let go of this fear and move on. And once he did, he went super. No, I'm not kidding. He activated the golden super form without having to use the Chaos Emeralds, and shattered the illusion. And the illusion in my story is the same equivalent to null space, if not stronger. And so Lightning the Falcon destroyed that, going super, easily overpowering Infinite, and then just straight up destroys Infinite by ripping out the Phantom Ruby from his chest, causing him to fade out of existence. That's kind of a dark ending for Infinite, if you asked me, but to be honest, in the Sonic Forces video game, he does fade out of existence after Sonic and the Rookie tag team against him. So I tried to apply that into this story, saying, let's make Lightning the main focus without Sonic having to interfere in any way. Because to be honest, Sonic has too much spotlight as it is. Has too much popularity, it's been in the spotlight long enough, so I figured for most of this story, it's been Lightning who's been doing this. Lightning was the one who saved who freed Sonic from prison and helped him defeat Zavok. It was him who who escaped null space by himself. It was Lightning who destroyed that illusion of a giant star falling down from the sky by himself. He defeated Infinite by himself. Are you seeing a pattern here? Lightning did all of that by himself. Basically, all of the feats in Sonic Forces that was either Sonic alone or Sonic and the Rookie tag teaming, Lightning did by himself, with Sonic basically becoming a background character and somewhat of a mentor to Lightning that helped boost his confidence, but didn't really work, right? Because he didn't fully gain 100% confidence until after talking to his brother. So yeah. But then yeah, Lightning defeats Infinite, the Resistance celebrates, and then he goes home. And that is basically the events of Sonic Forces, but Lightning the Falcon has a storyline after that where he returns 6 years later, because he was 15 years old, same age as Sonic. Yeah, apparently Sonic characters don't age. So because universes act differently, Lightning aged 6 years and is now 21. Oh shoot, I'm almost 21. Anyway, so Lightning the Falcon returned to them and say, "Hey, what's up? look, I know this. I wanted this to be a friendly reunion, but Infinite has returned. And they're like, wait, how can Infinite return? You basically caused him to be erased from existence. And he's like, yeah, well, after defeating Infinite, I heard this ominous, villainous voice. Spoiler alert, it was Lucifer. And he said that in 6 years that he will choose a chaotic champion to face me and possibly destroy your universe. And so that's what happened. And you know what I said about angelic and demonic power as the supreme power system? So yeah, so Lucifer revived Infinite and supercharged him with demonic power, making him near equal to Lightning, turning a wait, how powerful would Infinite be? I thought he would be planetary. So it basically turned him from a planetary force to near multiversal. Wait, would Infinite be universal? I don't know. So point is, it's like, yeah, storyline, they fight, Lightning ends up beating him again, but it was a much harder fight. And Lightning further proves himself. Oh yeah, canonically, Lightning the Falcon can travel across dimensions, and he has erased evil, dark, twisted timelines, and has defeated evil Sonic variants like Sonic.exe, Gen Sonic, and Fleaway Sonic. So yeah, he has done all of that, which are kind of the same feats that Elatros does, but Elatros does more. So I think I took a little too long talking about Lightning the Falcon, and honestly, that was more information for Lightning than it did Badger. Because the thing is, Badger's storyline is way longer. Like, Lightning the Falcon is one of my shorter, easier to explain stories. And now, Luke Cosmos, who is also in the number 5 spot, tier 3. Technically, though, Luke Cosmos by himself falls more into tier 6. I only put him in tier 3 because of the potential of his ability to fuse with the strongest gems in the Steven Universe universe. Oh yeah, by the way, this is a Steven Universe AU that acts like a sequel, kind of like what happens after Steven Universe leaves. What happens? And so, like, what happens in the story is that Luke Cosmos, his birth, basically caused this phenomenon called the Starlight Phenomenon that basically altered the entire Steven universe. So basically, his birth just turned himself into the Chosen One. He turned himself into the Chosen One. I am sorry. I am so sorry. Anyway, so yeah, so what happens is that Garnet finds him and chooses to take him in and take care of him as if he was his mother, which comes off weird because that's not how gems work in Steven Universe, but you know, whatever. So it's like Garnet was the one who found him, but Pearl was the one who came up with a name, because Luke just so happened to be wrapped in a white blanket covered in yellow stars. And she's like, well, I mean, there's the stars, but also, you know, to honor Steven Universe. So give him a similar last name, Cosmos. Easy. So what makes Luke Cosmos unique is that most of my characters kind of start out kind of overpowered, whereas or not start out overpowered, but more like start out as one of the strongest characters before becoming the most powerful character in their respective stories. Luke Cosmos, he started out as a normal human with no powers. So at the beginning of the story, he was basically a tier 10, basic level. Oh wait, that's not true. He would probably be he's not super soldier, so he would probably be tier 9, just like Zane, Alex, and Chris being above average. He was very smart, very adaptable. Like, that's his whole thing, adaptability, his battle IQ. Like, by the time he reaches age, for the first 15 years, he he had to hide behind the crystal gems and have them protect him. But by 16, he's like, you know what? I don't want to be protected anymore. I want to be able to defend myself. So he used his knowledge and battle IQ and whatever the heck you want to say about this guy, like just a straight up prodigy, and he says, Pearl, I want you to teach me how to fight. I am not taking no for an answer. And she's like, okay. And so Pearl teaches him how to use weapons, specifically a sword, shield, axe, whatever weapon, really. And then he also, to build up strength and durability and hand-to-hand combat, just in case he loses his weapon, he decides to go out and build up his strength by sparring with Jasper. And a lot of people would be like, isn't that a bad idea? I mean, Jasper is superhuman, has super strength and durability, and can basically shatter mountains with her fist. And I'll be like, yeah, I know, but Luke Cosmos, he is surprisingly durable, and surprisingly, one of the first abilities that he unlocks happens to be his healing factor. So, yeah, so by age 16, he starts learning how to fight for himself. And then he learned how to do fusion. Yes, a 100% human is able to fuse with the crystal gems and actually normal humans without any kind of anything. Like, he doesn't have a gem, even though the yellow star on his white shirt basically represents his gem. That is why they call him Star Quartz. And why he refers to his power as Starlight. But, what am I saying? I lost track of what I was saying. Luke Cosmos. What was I saying about Luke Cosmos? Oh yeah, his ability to fuse with people without he doesn't use a fusion dance from Dragon Ball. He doesn't have a gem to fuse with. He doesn't have a gem. It's like, somehow that's just how special he is. Speaking of which, why not we just go over his abilities? So it's like, by the end of the story, he, on his 18th birthday, he automatically unlocks 100% of his powers. And his powers include, superhuman strength, and durability that rivals Jasper, super speed that can make him appear invisible, and to him, time freezes, which is pretty cool. He also has a high battle IQ, which has already been explained, and he also has a healing factor, which I've already mentioned. Battle senses, but his main ability happens to be and fusion, of course, fusion. But he also has his Starlight ability. It's kind of like Steven Universe's pink power, where he can create energy constructs out of starlight. So yellow energy constructs, like, he has a sword that he can swing and releases energy slashes. He has a shield that if he puts both arms together, he can shoot a Kamehameha-style blast from the center of the shield. And he also has a giant star-shaped shuriken, like he's freaking Ash Ninja. But yeah, the dude's pretty powerful. But in his and he can also basically, in his in his full power mode, he basically becomes a Super Saiyan. Glowing eyes, his golden blonde hair stands up. So yeah. Yeah, this dude has nothing to do with Dragon Ball, and yet I referenced his form as being Super Saiyan. That's insane. But yeah, so Luke Cosmos, tier 3, he's mostly yeah, tier 3. Most of the time he would be tier 6 in his base form, but if he decides to fuse with the oh yeah, I probably should talk about the concept of the stories. Um so um so yeah, Connor Carson is about identity, valor. I don't think there really was one for valor. Alon Draken is more about accepting oneself, but he keeps denying that if he really is the true heir to Camelot's throne. Joseph Garrison, it's basically just, and Pokemon Trainer Luke, it's just basically about a, the journey, basically. Like it's freaking Lord of the Rings or Hobbit, where it's like there's not really much of a lesson behind it, other than the hero goes on a journey and faces powerful villains on the way. That's about it. Badger. I would say Badger is probably also about finding oneself because, well, Badger, he doesn't really know who he is because of the tragedies he's been over. Luke Cosmos. Oh, Lightning the Falcon, there isn't really a lesson there. Luke Cosmos, though, it is about family, and it's about love and family because, he sees the Crystal Gems as his family because they're the ones who basically kind of adopted him. Well, it didn't really adopt him. Garda just found him abandoned in a laboratory and say, you know what? I'm going to take him because, his parents were not there. We don't even know where his parents went. All the scientists that decided to experiment on him. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that. Scientists experimented on him to figure out where the source of power came from. And failed. So they just left the child. And we don't know what happened to his parents. But yeah, it's about love and family because the Crystal Gems become his family. Surprisingly, also, Lapis and Jasper, some reason, adds into that family, and also, for some reason, White Diamond, for some reason. I literally just started writing Luke Cosmos' story. By the way, Lightning the Falcon and Luke Cosmos, if I haven't already explained this, they're both variants of Electros, but they aren't as powerful as Electros is. Explaining why later. So, maybe I should have explained numbers 10 through 7 better. Maybe added a little more description about Badger. I don't know why I keep jumping back and forth. But yeah, Zane X, Ben 10 AU, where someone who isn't Ben, who's a actual prodigy, because Ben is kind of an idiot. Zane X, according to the story, it's a Ben 10 AU where Zane Xavier, Ben's supposed best friend, went on the same summer trip and was the one who found the Omnitrix. But unlike Ben, when Zane got the Omnitrix, he goes through this whole mutation where his brown hair turns white and his dark blue eyes turn light blue, like he just turns into Gojo. Because, the whole concept of anime protagonists with white hair tend to be overpowered. Yes. Yes. Anyway, so Xanax, he gains the Omnitrix that happens to be his colors of white and light blue, like a cyan or ice blue. I don't know. But his Omnitrix evolves differently from the Prime Universe Omnitrix. But Xanax, what's interesting about Xanax is that he goes through tragedy throughout the entire freaking story. Like he as soon as he gets the Omnitrix, he gains perfect knowledge of all 1 million alien species, and is already known. Oh dang, this alien tyrant Vilgax is after me. But that's not what I mean. It's like in not chapter 2, chapter 3 that involves Kevin 11. And in the story, I gave him a twin sister who has a medical condition, who is somewhat insane. Fun. Who adds on to Zane's tragedy because he actually cares for her, so that is kind of sad. What else? Ever since Kevin runs away and blames Zane for his sister being taken away by the plumbers to basically an insane asylum, he's like, you know what, I hate you, dude, and just runs away. And Zane is just depressed, and he's like, but ever since then, he hears this evil voice in his head who happens to be the ultimate villain of the entire story, who keeps tempting him. At first, he thought it was Sascare, knowing that Sascare was trapped in the Omnitrix, just like the main timeline, but he's like, no, that's not Sascare. So anyway, so yeah, he's like, no. He keeps telling the voice, no, I am not gonna let you push me into depression. But yeah, evil voice, oh yeah, just like the Prime timeline, Sascare possessing Gwen and tormenting him that way. Fun. And also the evil voice appearing in a mindscape with Zane, appearing as people he cares about, furtherly blaming him and tormenting him for things that were out of his control. And oh yes, and by Alien Force, Kevin's evil, well, she's not really evil, but just kind of messed up in the mind. Kevin's twin sister Lila comes back and tries to end the entire universe by becoming a celestial sapient, causing Zane to transform into a celestial sapient and fight back and win. Also, in Alien Force / Ultimate Alien, Ben grows to be jealous of Zane and builds his own Omnitrix, the Chronotrix, and transforms into Eon. Because apparently, in some storyline, Eon has to keep transferring himself through different versions of Ben, basically turning himself into a Ben 10 variant. So I figured, hey, why not just use that story and say, hey, my universe's Ben decides to create a Cronian-styled Omnitrix and transforms himself into Eon. Yeah, and then has a time-based battle between him and Zane's version of Clockwork. Anyway, then Omniverse Depression arc goes through this whole like video game styled world. Gains his confidence, fights back, and I don't know. So the point of Zane X is that he goes through a lot of tragedies, constantly depressed, constantly on edge, worrying that something bad's gonna happen to him again. And wow, I realized that my versions of the story ends up being darker than the original. Like Valor, he is unlike Danny Phantom, who's mischievous. Valor is pure-hearted and doesn't fight unless he knows it's right. But Valor, he also takes things a lot more seriously with the threats that he faces. He faces stronger ghost threats. He struggles. He breaks. He basically dies at one point. I'll explain what he's a ghost, so how can he die again? If you ever are interested in Valor's storyline, I'll explain the power system behind him and why that's even possible for a ghost to be killed. But anyway, going back to Zane X, the reason why I placed him into tier 3 is because of Alien X. And because of the whole, angel power system, Zane X is able to access Alien X 100% control without the stupid debate system. I remember watching Ben 10, and every time he chooses Alien X, and having to sit through Bellamus and Serena arguing at each other. Hey, let's let him do it. No. Let him do it. No. It's frustrating. So I decided Zane had enough tragedy as it is. I am taking out the debate system because the angel power system basically erased it. It's my story. I can do it. Anyway. And I looked it up, and apparently AUs can be considered original stories if they're handled the right way. Anyway, so yeah, Zane X, Alien X. I don't think I really need to explain why him as Alien X is this high up on the list at number 4. You could probably argue that he should be in the top 3, but I just had 3 characters that I think could defeat Alien X, so that's why Alien X is number 4. Number 3, Silver. Ooh, Silver. Anime hero. He starts out as a normal human, wakes up, he ends up living in an anime-style universe where it's all superpower based, and everyone gets their inspiration from shonen anime protagonists like Goku, and Naruto, and Luffy, and Ichigo, and whoever the heck is also in shonen. Oh, fun fact, I've actually seen almost every shonen anime that is out now, so... And I've also played Jump Force, just to keep in mind. So, yeah. Silver. So as soon as he gains his powers, he's automatically the strongest hero. And people aren't you just copying the Saitama storyline? And I'm like, well, technically no, because Saitama is boring and an idiot. Sorry, Saitama fans, I'm speaking the truth. By the way, Saitama fans, don't get mad, but I personally think Goku would beat Saitama. That's just my personal opinion. Because no matter how strong Saitama gets, I think that if Goku goes Ultra Instinct right off the bat, Goku would win. But if Goku does his own stupid thing of dragging the fight out and slowly jumping from form to form, then Saitama could possibly adapt enough for him to be able to overpower Goku. So this whole debate of Goku versus Saitama is always one-sided, because they're like, well, Saitama is the One Punch Man. And to be honest, there are characters that can survive Saitama's one strike. Goku has survived multiple strikes. Sonic has taken on multiple strikes. How can you say that Saitama his whole thing is destroying everything in a single punch? Boros took multiple strikes. Garo take multiple strikes. Do I really have to keep on do I have to go on? I mean, yeah, Saitama's powerful. He is an idiot average guy who gains godlike strength and speed from working out. A normal person who does that kind of workout would die. So, oh my. I'm doing a top 10 list and now I'm arguing I'm arguing why I disagree with the concept of Saitama and why I think Goku's a better character. Oh my goodness. Sorry, viewers, if I'm going off track here. I kind of do that sometimes on a rabbit trail. But technically, the whole point is Silver, when he gains his powers, and of course the whole mutation of his hair turning from brown to Snow White, showing his overpoweredness, because anime character. You would be surprised how many of my characters in my stories are either blonde or white-haired. I mean, before I continue on with Silver, which I haven't really explained well enough, Zane Haruno, white hair. Alex, white hair. Both of these have no powers. Chris has dark hair. So, black hair. Connor Carson, light brown hair. Valor. He has light brown hair, but when he turns into Valor, he has blue flaming hair, like he's Disney, like he's Disney's Hades from Disney's Hercules, like, which is actually a cool effect when you think about it. Like, he has blue hair, blue flaming hair. It's pretty awesome. Alon Draken, black hair. Joseph Garrison, black hair. Pokemon Trainer Luke, blonde hair. Badger, black hair. Lightning the Falcon. He's a freaking bird, so his feathers are white. So you can argue that's the equivalent of an anime white hair. Luke Cosmos, blonde. Zane X, white hair. Silver, white hair. Genesis, I'm jumping ahead a little, but Genesis, black hair. I realized that the darker characters tend to have black hair, whereas the lighter characters have either blonde, brown, or white. Oh yeah, Elytros, blonde. Hi. Oh yeah, you guys couldn't see him, but that was my brother. The one that I mentioned that came up with Badger in the first place, so, cool. Sorry, I got distracted. Back to Silver. So, Silver's storyline is that, so yeah, he when he gains his powers, he's automatically the strongest hero there, because white hair, like I mentioned. And so, he goes through the high school as a freaking prodigy, acing classes, going through, acing hero courses. Showing off why he's just such a powerful character, but also his kind nature, why he's actually a good person. And then he finds out, oh dang, I came from a family of evil villains. His father is a tyrant. His brother is literally this universe's version of Lucifer. Like, the thing is that his Silver's siblings are all, each one of them, he has 7 siblings, each one represents the 7 deadly sins, with Silver being the odd one out, because yeah. So yeah, it's like, he goes through all that, goes through a tournament, meets his twisted, evil sister, who happens to be the Sin of Lust, twice. He encounters her twice. And then, gets stranded on an island for 2 weeks. And then transfers to and then gets teleported away to another world. You know how I mentioned that I played the game Jump Force? Yeah, that's the game that gave me inspiration to create this story, because part 2 is basically him living out living in a world where he meets all of Shonen Jump anime's protagonists. And during this time, his will is shattered, right? He goes through a depression arc. But then by the time he defeats Prometheus, he's like, oh yeah, I actually learned my lesson, and now my will is more powerful than ever. Then he returns to his world, gets celebrated as the prodigal son returning. He gets asked to be a teacher. Becomes a good mentor to the next generation. Oh yeah, he's 18 when he returns, and it's like, and then he finally faces his evil siblings, and tyrant father defeats them, finally gets acknowledged as the strongest hero. But in this universe there are also 7 gods. I'm using quotation marks because they're not real gods, because keep in mind, like I think I've mentioned this before, but I am a Christian, so I believe in one God. So when I use gods like in anime, that just means overpowered beings. So basically, all other characters. So basically, godlike beings in anime basically fall under tier 3 concepts. So yeah. And so from these 7 gods, I'm you know what, I'm confusing myself, so I'm just going to call these beings celestials. From the 7 celestials, the one known for destruction is like, hey, you know what, dudes? I don't care what people are going to say, what do people think of me. I'm going to go down there and destroy that planet. And so by that time, this the Celestial of Destruction makes this decision, Silver is betrayed by someone he thought was a close friend, got his powers taken away, and imprisoned. And his friend, or the guy he believed is his friend, who has fire powers, yeah, see the parallel? Uses the godlike power that Silver had and is like, you know what, I'm going to take on this destroyer by myself. And gets wrecked. And then he starts questioning, I don't understand. This is the same kind of power that he has. So why is it that I'm getting overpowered, whereas I've seen him take on powerful threats by himself? He took on his entire evil family by himself. And the god of destruction is like, you know, dude, you do realize the reason why he's so powerful isn't just that power, but because it's amplified by his pure heart. And the guy's like, what? You gotta be kidding me. And then Silver is like, hey, yeah, so I'm gonna take he just walks up to the guy and is like, yeah, I'm gonna take my power back. So takes the power back, punches the guy in the face, knocks him out for comedic reasons, and then goes up to fight the guy. And after a huge, awesome fight that I haven't figured out how to describe yet because I'm still writing these stories. So basically, I'm explaining these stories to you before I finish writing them. And so, one of my favorite moments is that when he powers up his final attack, I don't know what I would call it. I want to say it's more like Cosmic Collision or something like that, because I can't do Galaxy Impact, that's GARP. And Cosmic Impact would just sound stupid. So, like, Cosmic Collision. And then he decides to just... And he's like... And he's like, oh yeah, before I destroy you... let me quote a hero that I met on my journey, Simon the Digger. Guess who that dude, the guy. I'm sorry, I just can't say it right now. Basically, he just says that awesome finisher line and like uses that one hit to destroy the destroyed the god of destruction with a single strike. So he just side top. He basically so yeah, he takes his power back on top of the power that he has gathered. So basically, he has his original power. He has added power that he's gained over the time he was in the Jump Force merged universe. And then he has extra power that he gathers while sitting in prison. And so he like flies up there, activating this attack, says the line, and one shots him like he's freaking Saitama. Like, yeah, he defeats the god, and then they leave happily ever after. Oh yeah, and he also gets married. Like, the story ends with his marriage. And he gets, which the marriage happens 2 years later. There's also another story where he's involved, where he's 25, but that story's not really all that important. Because I don't consider that story canon to my other stories. But yeah, I've over-explained this. So yeah, Silver. Fun. Genesis. Genesis, God of Destruction. Yep, just like the Ronin said. Genesis, the God of Destruction. Yeah, I'm not doing the voice right. Anyway, so, Genesis, God of Evolution, his whole thing. And like I said, just because he's called a god doesn't mean he is a god. It's more of, like I said, about other anime characters where he's called a celestial, to keep in mind. So Genesis, he is a human, the first human born with supernatural abilities, and no one knows why. He was scared. He has these dark, ominous abilities. Like, he can manipulate shadow. He can move so fast that he basically disappears and reappears in front of you. Basically like teleportation, but he's just that fast. Superhuman strength. Like I said, shadow manipulation. Other dark abilities. Like, three abilities I can think of. Dark Spear. It's like Frieza's Death Way. He points his finger and he shoots a single beam of energy from his finger that can cut through any giant attack. Let's see. Dark Counter. It's basically like Meliodas' full counter, where he can basically like reflect any attacks. And number 3, Dark Nebula. Wait, it's basically, yeah, Dark Nebula is basically Hollow Purple. Or do I have to actually explain this? Hollow Purple, it's one of Gojo's abilities that when he shoots this purple energy sphere, it grows in size, and anything that gets in it gets erased by the molecular structure. So yeah, Genesis has a similar ability. So yeah. So Genesis. Oh yeah, he can also cause illusions and shatter people's minds. The dude has so many abilities that's hard to list them. Honestly, if I wanted to list all of these abilities, I probably would have, because honestly, I would have just explained every single ability that all of these characters had. But some of them is basically but most of these abilities are just straightforward, right? Connor Carson, he is tier 7 super soldier, which means he has superhuman strength and durability and battle senses. Valor has ghost powers. Alon Draken has dimensional based abilities where his King Sword, where he has anime style sword uh, sword skills and speed and strength, and his sword, just like Ichigo, can cut through dimensions, allowing him to travel across universes. Joseph Garrison, god level control over the ocean. Pokemon trainer Luke. The only reason why he's there is because his dragon also has lightning based abilities. Also, Luke's Pokemon trainer Luke and his dragon is another variant of Elatros, by the way. Um, Badger, dark based abilities, just like Genesis. Lightning the Falcon, lightning based abilities. Luke Cosmos, star based abilities. Xanax, the Omnitrix, Silver, he has cosmic based abilities. The power cosmic. And Genesis has dark based abilities. But before I move on to but also before I continue with his secondary abilities, let me also let me further explain Genesis. So yeah, Genesis, he so human, born with supernatural abilities. Everyone was afraid of him, called him the Living Shadow. His parents decided to say, "Hey, let's send you off to this school for the gifted." Turns out it's a monster school called Nevermore. Yes, I kind of ripped that off from Wednesday, but I couldn't come up with a better name. Anyway, Genesis gets sent off to this monster school, and as soon as he gets there, every monster he encounters is terrified of him, and he speed blitz through the school year, acing classes, defeating any tournament that he was forced into. And so yeah, one fun fact is that he goes on this field trip with them, where the bus gets attacked by a dark dragon, and Genesis just easily overpowers it by holding it in a telekinetic hold, like the Force, just holding him there. And he's like, "Okay, let me show you how powerful I can be." Snaps his fingers, teleports them to the Shadow Realm. And then he's like, and then everyone's like, "Are we gonna die in here?" He's like, "As long as I'm in here, all of you guys are protected. But this dragon isn't." He's like, "So I'm just gonna eliminate you right now." Oh, by the way, Dark Nebula is even stronger with how much darkness is involved, and because of the Shadow Realm is complete darkness, he one shots the dragon. Then he turns to everyone and is like, "Okay, anyone who's loyal to me can be my shadow, can be my shadows. Everyone else, well, I never liked you." No, I'm not kidding. He traps the people that he didn't that either didn't care to follow him or just straight up hated him in the Shadow Realm, where everyone else becomes his loyal servants, the Shadows. And just for record, I did not straight up copy this from Solo Leveling or Eminence in Shadow. It's just an idea that I liked. That I'm like, well, this guy is, his whole thing is evolution, right? So why not? And so far in the story, all of his abilities seem dark based. So turn them into living shadows without having to kill them. because it's not like Sun Jinwoo where it's necromancy. It's more like, yeah, snap your fingers and I completely change your biology. Anyway, so yeah, after that, high school dance, not much to say about that. Um ooh, I love this part of the story. Um the ceremony, the graduation ceremony. And this is where one of my favorite aura farming moments of Genesis comes from, cuz to be honest, most of my characters are straight up aura farmers. So what happens is that it was graduation. He was the last name to be called. The doors swing open. Moonlight is shown behind him, and he slowly walks in, all ominously, with fog following him into the room. And this one guy's like, "Is he aura farming?" And the person he was talking to is like, "I think he already knew how to aura farm." I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. Anyway, then after that, there was a final promotion tournament because there was this whole system called the Seven Kings of Darkness, and they compete to see if they can become a part of this group. And so Genesis, on his way there, bumps into this dark elf who happens to be the sister of two dark elves that became his shadows, and she accused him of manipulating them into it, even though everyone who became his shadow servants actually chose to follow him out of either loyalty or fear, but it was willingly. And then she's like, "I challenge. I'll fight you in this tournament. If I win, you let them go." And she's like, "Okay, but if you lose, you become one of my shadows." She's like, "Why would I agree with that?" And he's like, "Simple. You seem too confident to lose." And she's like, "Okay." And so we have an epic anime style battle where for like the first half of the fight, he basically just uses illusions to mess with her. And then she gets mad and attacks him, but he easily overpowers her. And then they have a light speed sword duel that causes them to teleport and causes shockwaves and whatever. It's pretty epic if you see it in your head. I'm over explaining this. But Genesis. But after that, he becomes one of the Seven Kings of Darkness. He gets his own castle. There's this kind of this whole arc where this whole chapter where he throws a party and welcomes all the other six new Kings of Darkness, as well as the ones that were the previous Kings of Darkness and literally anyone else, but that scene wasn't really important to talk about. But after that, he gets his powers taken away in prison, has to find them. But one of my favorite scenes is that he meets up with Death of the Endless. Yeah, I kind of forgot that they were kind of mentioned in this, involved in this story, and they're like, and she tells him, "Oh yeah, by the way, one of your loyal servants, her soul was stolen by Lucifer," and he's like, "You know what? Screw it. I'm going to hell." So what he does is he goes to hell and straight up aura farms as he walks through hell, just straight up obliterating every demon that comes at him like a boss. And then he meets up with Lucifer and he's like, "Okay, I know you have my friend's soul, so I challenge you to a mind game. If I win, you give it back to her." And he's like, "Okay." And guess what? Dennison freaking wins. He wins the game. He outsmarts the literal devil. Like, what? What? But yeah, but then like at the end of the story, he ascends and truly becomes the god of evolution, and gains his own evolution based realm and blah 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 blah, and that's where he is until Elatros comes to be. Which, by the way, Genesis is by far the strongest in tier 3 in this list. Oh yeah, and a small twist, Genesis has always been evolution. He wasn't a person who had to become evolution. He was evolution the entire time. But this is a phrase, this is a wise little sentence or phrase that further proves that he was the embodiment of evolution the entire time. Before you can become evolution, you must first evolve. So yeah. Elatros. I don't know what to say about Elatros. Honestly, I mean, he is my very first hero. He's the purest hero I've ever created. He has never fallen into darkness, has never been persuaded by darkness. He has one of the most tragic stories throughout his super long story. Like, his story is my longest story, and that is because I've been writing this dude's story for the last 5 to 6 years now, since 2020. And it is insane how long this story is, and I'm still writing it. And I even have sequel stories. Like, he was the main hero I was writing about. Like, if I ever made a comic book series that is canon in real life, like, if I ever found a friend, like, if I ever found a way to make one of these characters into a comic book, it would be Elatros. Like, yes! Anyway, Elatros is one of my most tragic, constantly going through tragedy that he didn't deserve, constantly being pushed, tested. Yes! Sorry, I'm gonna have to end this right here, so thanks for watching. Please comment, subscribe, leave a like, and leave a notification for next time. I'll explain Elatros again later. Thanks for watching. Bye.